Have you ever felt like life's out of your control? Like you're constantly at the mercy of your boss, your coworkers, or even that rude customer at the store? We all have. But here's the shocking truth. You don't have to let them steal your peace. Let's talk about something that could change everything for you. Mel Robbins' groundbreaking theory on control. There are 3 things you can always control, no matter what's happening around you. What you think, what you do or don't do, how you process your emotions. If you embrace this skill, your life will never be the same. Mel Robbins' book, The 5-Second Rule, dives into how the brain works, showing that you have the power to stop stress in its tracks. This is one of the best self-help books I've ever read. Trust me, your mind and soul are in for a treat. But let me ask you, how much of your energy are you wasting? Think about it. Every time you let that rude coworker or negative person drain you, you're essentially paying them a price. If you had to pay $1 every time your mind went back to that frustrating person or situation, you'd be broke. And the crazy thing is, you don't even realize how much time and energy you're losing. That's the real cost. The mental toll, the stress, the anxiety. It's all draining you for things that aren't even in your control. So what's the secret to reclaiming your peace? It's this simple phrase. Let them. Let your boss have a bad day. Let the rude customer be rude. Let your colleague steal credit for your idea. When you say let them, you're not being passive, you're being powerful. You're refusing to let external chaos control your internal world. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Saying let them gives you a strange feeling of superiority. You rise above the situation and take back your power. You're not saying let it go, because that can feel like you're just giving up or losing. Let them is about saying, I see what's happening, and I choose not to let it derail me. And then, this is the part that people often forget. You need to say, let me control my thoughts. Let me decide what I do next. Let me choose how I process this situation. This is where the magic happens. Because when you realize that you control those 3 things, suddenly nothing, no rude person, no frustrating circumstance, can shake you. When life feels overwhelming, when things aren't going the way you want, remember this. The only thing you need to focus on is what you can control. Mel Robbins' wisdom has helped millions, and it can help you too. Whether you're struggling with toxic people at work, stressful situations, or even setting boundaries with family, this episode, or this lesson, is for you. So next time something happens that you can't control, just pause, breathe, and say, let them. And then remind yourself, let me. You've got this. Are you exhausted from constantly trying to control the world around you? It's a deep, almost primal need, the need to control. We all have it. It's what makes us feel safe, secure, and in charge of our lives. We want to control our thoughts, our decisions, our environment, and, yes, our future. But here's the kicker, you can only control yourself. That's it. But here's where it gets tricky. You're not just trying to control yourself. If I'm feeling irritated or anxious about what you're doing, now I want to control you to make myself feel better. And this is where the cycle begins. The problem is that the second you try to control someone else, whether it's your partner, your friend, your boss, you're stepping into uncontrollable territory. Think about it. When you want someone to change, like wishing your partner would wash the dishes or your colleague would just be quiet for a minute during a meeting, you're trying to do the impossible. You're trying to control the uncontrollable. And guess what? It doesn't work. It's only going to push people away, and it's going to drain you. But that's not all. Here's why we get so distracted and overwhelmed. When you're constantly giving your energy away to things you can't control, like other people's actions or the chaos around you, your power is being drained. All day long, you're giving away your time, your focus, your peace, your very energy. You know what I mean, right? You've been there, right? You're standing in line at the grocery store, 6 people deep, 1 cashier, and the stress just hits you like a wave. Starts small, a little annoyance. But then you let it grow, right? You start complaining in your head. This is ridiculous. Why isn't anyone doing something about this? And then you start looking around. Can you believe this? This is insane. Guess what? You just gave away your power. The key to breaking this cycle is simple. Let them. When you say let them, you're not giving up. You're not being passive. You're choosing not to let the stress take over. You're saying, this is outside of my control, and I'm not going to let it drain me. But it's even more than that. You get to take control of the situation by choosing how you respond to it. Let me decide how I'm going to react. Am I going to keep stressing out? Or am I going to take a step back, let it be, and focus on something more important, like calling that friend I've been thinking about, or checking in with a loved one? You have so much power in moments like these, but if you're not aware of it, that power slips through your fingers. And that's how we get tired, overwhelmed, and drained. Every little moment of stress, every time you give your energy to something that's out of your control, it adds up. And then you wonder why you're so exhausted at the end of the day. But here's the truth, you can change it. When you embrace the let them mindset, you'll be shocked by how much time and energy you get back. It's not about controlling others or trying to change people. It's about controlling yourself, your thoughts, your actions, and how you process everything around you. So, whether it's that annoying coworker, a stressful situation, or even family drama, remember, let them. Let people be who they are, and don't let their behavior take your peace. Let them reveal their true colors, and you stay grounded in your own power. Because in the end, you're the only one you can control. This is where your true freedom lies. Stop allowing other people's drama to hijack your life. Take back your power, and watch your stress melt away. You'll feel lighter, more focused, and yes, happier. Have you ever been in a relationship where you keep hoping and wishing someone would change? You want them to be better, do better, whether it's picking up after themselves, taking better care of their health, or even just treating you with more respect. I get it. You want more for them. You want them to reach their potential. And that desire is beautiful. But here's the harsh truth. You cannot change another person. You can influence them, sure, but you cannot force them to change. People only change when they feel ready to, and when they believe they can. Wanting the best for others isn't the problem. Wishing for people to be their best, to show up differently in your life, that's all perfectly natural. The problem isn't the desire. It's how we go about it. Take, for example, the classic situation: you walk into the kitchen and see the dishes piled high, and your frustration builds. You feel disrespected. You feel like your higher standards for cleanliness aren't being met, and now you're angry. But here's where it gets interesting. You have a choice. You have to say, let them. Why? Because if you let that frustration take root, you're giving away your energy, and that frustration will only grow. But when you say, let them, you're releasing that emotional charge. It's not about ignoring the situation. It's about accepting it for what it is. Let's take it a step further. If you're in a long-term partnership, learning to love someone exactly as they are is a crucial act of love. If you can't say let them, you will find yourself angry, resentful, and exhausted. And here's the kicker. When you let someone be who they are, you take the power back in your own hands. When you let them show you who they truly are, you can make a clearer decision about what you will and won't accept in the relationship. This is where let me comes in. It's about taking responsibility for your own feelings and actions. If something is bothering you, ask yourself, what can I do about this? In my own relationship, for example, my husband Chris has asked me countless times to keep my stuff organized. I'm not perfect, and I forget sometimes. But he was patient and he explained how it made him feel. When he shared that my mess made him feel like I was expecting him to clean up after me, it hit me hard. It wasn't just about the dishes. It was about respect. It was about his feeling like he was being taken for granted. And once I understood that, I could either ignore it and keep going or step up and make changes. It was my choice. Here's what I've learned. When you sit someone down and express how their behavior impacts you, you open up the opportunity for change. Not change because you want it, but change because they see how it affects you and decide that they want to do better. But here's where it gets real. If you've had the conversation, and they don't change, you have to ask yourself, is this what I deserve? Is this how I want to be treated? Sometimes people can't change because they're dealing with their own struggles. And that's okay. You have the power to decide if you can love them through it. But sometimes it becomes clear that they could change if they wanted to, and they choose not to. In those moments, you have to decide what you're willing to accept. And this is where let them takes on a deeper meaning. Let them show you who they truly are. It's hard, but when you finally accept someone for who they really are, and not who you wish they would be, that's when the real freedom begins. Because you're no longer holding on to a fantasy of what you want them to be. You're embracing the reality of what they are. And that, my friends, is where peace starts. You still have power. Even in these tough moments, you can choose how to react, whether to accept them as they are, or decide whether this relationship is still right for you. You get to choose. So remember this. Let them. Let them be who they are, show you who they are, and then you decide what's next for you. Because in the end, the only person you can truly change is yourself. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a relationship or situation, desperately wishing someone would change? Whether it's your partner, a family member, or a colleague, you just want them to be different. You keep hoping, complaining, and trying to make them see things your way. But what if I told you the real power is in your hands to choose how much time, energy, and mental space you give to this situation? The epiphany I had was mind-blowing. I still get to choose. I get to choose how much energy I pour into a problem, a relationship, or even a person. So here's the ultimate test. Can you end the complaining and the constant griping? If you can't stop complaining about someone or something, that's a sign you're still holding on to it. And guess what? If they never change, you're the one who's going to have the problem. Because that frustration, that constant complaint, it's only creating friction and resentment. And it's not just in romantic relationships, this can apply to family, work, anywhere. There's always that one person in your life who brings the drama. We all know someone who's draining. Whether it's the narcissist, the drama queen, or the eternal victim who makes everything about them. They're exhausting to be around, right? Here's the kicker. The reason they drain you is because you brace yourself, get ready for the storm, and then their energy impacts you. But I'm here to tell you something life-changing. You don't have to let their energy affect you. Think about it like a spider web. Everyone's energy, their moods, their behaviors are connected in a web of relationships. One toxic person can shake that web and suddenly the whole system feels the impact. But here's what happens when you apply the let them theory. You stop giving them that power. You let them be who they are and you stop managing their mood. I used to shrink around these people, tiptoe around their moods, walk on eggshells. But now I choose differently. Let them be who they are. And you know what? I can walk into any situation, no longer dancing around someone else's emotions. I manage my own energy. What if we thought about our time and energy like it was money? Imagine if every thought you had about that person or situation cost you $1. How much would you be spending? On the complaints, the judgments, the mental reruns of their actions? We don't realize how much of our mental resources are tied up in someone else's drama. And here's the real truth. The only reason you stay attached to this drama is because you don't value your time or energy. You've never really experienced what it's like to invest that energy elsewhere. What let them does is it clears your mind and allows you to see people, maybe for the first time, for who they really are. It lets you stop wishing and hoping that they'll change. And when you truly see them for who they are, it's liberating. You no longer have to attach to the story of what they could be or what they should be. You can let them show up as they are. Here's the breakthrough I had. If I can't make a family gathering or a special event, and someone's disappointed by that, I let them be disappointed. It's a beautiful thing because, in that moment, I'm allowing them to feel what they feel and I'm honoring their experience. But here's the real power. I get to decide how I respond. I no longer twist myself in knots to avoid disappointing anyone. And let me tell you, this shift is everything. When you stop changing your plans just to please others, you take your power back. And when you do it, you no longer make them the villain in your life. You own your decisions. It's a subtle shift, but it's everything. For those of us who are parents of adult children, or who deal with extended family, you know how complicated these relationships can be. There are always people who don't get what you're doing, or who make things harder. But the key is to let them be who they are while also owning your own space. The moment you stop attaching to their emotions is the moment you start living more peacefully. You are the most powerful person in the room when you know how to manage your own energy. You can remove yourself from any situation, any conversation, any drama, at any time. And when you realize that, you stop giving away your power to the people who drain you. Let them be who they are, but remember, you get to choose how much space they take in your life. Have you ever tried to help someone, but no matter what you do, it doesn't seem to make a difference? Whether it's your kids, your partner, or someone close to you, you can see where they're struggling and all you want is to fix it for them. But what if I told you that sometimes the best thing you can do is step back and let them experience it themselves? You see, the most powerful thing we can offer someone is the space to feel, to struggle, to learn, and to grow on their own terms at their own pace. Sometimes, we get so caught up in trying to shield them from pain or consequences that we forget that life itself is the greatest teacher. This is what I've learned. When you allow someone to have their own emotions, to face their own struggles, and to heal in their own way, you're actually sending a message that says, I believe in you. But here's the thing, we're often tempted to step in and fix it. Take something simple like school motivation. I've had so many people ask me, how do I make my kid more motivated? The thing is, the hardest worker in that classroom isn't the kid getting straight A's. It's the one struggling to keep up, the one who's battling their own fears, doubts, and insecurities. The hardest worker in health? It's not the one who's already in shape, it's the person trying to make the change, the one facing that internal conflict of wanting more, but not quite knowing how to get there. And this is where we often go wrong. When we see someone struggling, we want to jump in and tell them what they should be doing. We think, oh, they didn't realize they needed to study more or stop playing video games. But let me ask you, what does that really do? It just adds pressure to someone who's already in conflict with themselves. It's not encouragement. It's judgment. And what they need is not more pressure. They need belief in their own ability to change when they're ready. It's tough, I get it. But if you really embrace this idea, you start to see that people don't change until they feel they can. And if someone's struggling, it's because they're not able to right now. There's something missing, and it's often the belief that small actions will actually make a difference. Here's where it gets tricky. When you step in and try to control the situation, you're essentially saying, I don't believe you can do this, but I can do it for you. You're taking away their power to figure it out on their own. And that's where you get stuck. What you really need to do is let them be who they are, and let them go through it. Let's talk about relationships. I remember when I first got married, my wife had grown up with parents who made a lot of decisions for her. So when we got married, I'd ask her, what do you think we should do about this? And she'd say, you tell me. But I wouldn't. I'd push her to find her own opinion. And at first, it was frustrating for her. But now, she looks back and says, that helped me so much, because over time, she found her own voice, her own identity, and her own preferences. Love isn't about controlling. It's about allowing someone to be themselves, to grow, and to discover their own path. Over-caring? It's over-enabling. And that doesn't serve anyone in the long run. True love is about consideration and admiration. It's thinking about what the other person loves and honoring their uniqueness. Let me take this a step further. What if you started treating your time and energy like it was money? Imagine if you had to pay $1 every time you thought about someone or something that didn't serve you. How much money would you be wasting? All those thoughts, the judgments, the worries, the anxieties, they're taking up your energy, your time, and your peace of mind. Now think about how often we turn other people into problems in our lives. We allow their opinions, their moods, their actions to dictate how we feel. If someone is disappointed in us, if we're scared about what they'll think, we tend to shrink. But what if you just let them think what they want to think? Think about it. Every time you're about to post something on social media or make a decision, and you hesitate because you're worried about what others might think, you're giving away your power. You're overvaluing something you'll never be able to control. The reality is you can't control what anyone else thinks. So why waste your time worrying about it? Next time you find yourself considering what others might say or think, just let them think what they want. Let them have their own judgments, their own opinions. Because when you do that, you reclaim your power. You stop worrying about what others think. And instead, you start focusing on what matters to you. So here's the big idea, let them struggle. Let them think what they think. And let yourself be free. When you embrace this, you'll find more peace, more clarity, and the ability to truly be yourself. without the weight of someone else's energy pulling you down? What if I told you the key to freedom is letting people think what they want to think? I know it sounds a little crazy, but hear me out. We're often terrified of what others might say, of being judged, or even worse, of being talked about behind our backs. And let's be real, how many times have you hesitated to post something on social media because you were worried about how people would react? But here's the truth, you can't control what people think. You can't control their opinions. So why waste your energy on it? Let them think negative thoughts. Let them gossip. Let them judge. Because that's exactly what they're going to do anyway. When you truly accept that, something wild happens. You feel a huge weight lift off your shoulders. You realize that it doesn't matter what they think. The power's not in their hands. It's in yours. And here's where it gets good. You get to choose what you think about yourself. You get to decide what actions make you proud. Think about it, your social media, your voice, that's your self-expression. It's your space to be you. And when you start to really embrace that, when you allow yourself to show up authentically, without the worry of judgment, that's when your life starts to shift. Because guess what? If you can't allow yourself to express who you are there, it will spill into every other part of your life. Now, let's talk about how much energy we waste on other people's opinions. You've probably found yourself spiraling, thinking about what someone might say if you post something, or worse, imagining the rumors people are spreading about you. But here's the kicker, you can't control it. And if you try to control it, you're just torturing yourself. Let them gossip. Let them have their thoughts. You have a choice. You decide how much you let it affect you. When you finally let go of that fear, when you stop caring about what others think, you realize you're only draining your own energy. And if you're still letting people's words or actions take your peace, then you've got to ask yourself, why am I spending my energy on people who don't uplift me? This is the power of letting people be who they are. When you let people be, they show you exactly who they are, and you get to decide whether they deserve a place in your life. You get to choose who you spend your time with, and who gets to hear your story. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you choose to live your life. And here's something really important. Not everyone in your life deserves a response. That's freedom. When you stop chasing validation from others, when you stop responding to toxic behavior, you stop draining your energy. Instead, you focus on what makes you proud, what feels right for you. And here's the beauty of it. You choose your energy, you choose your space. You get to unfollow or block people if you want to. You're the one in control. But it's not always easy, is it? Especially when you see that person on social media, and you wonder, should I block them? Should I not? What will they think? But you know what? Let them think what they think. Let them have their opinions, because at the end of the day, your peace is worth more than their judgment. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, what if I'm just being a doormat? What if I let people walk all over me? Let me be clear. Letting them isn't about accepting bad behavior. It's about giving yourself the freedom to stop engaging in toxic patterns. It's about recognizing when you're enabling unhealthy dynamics and choosing to step away from them. Let people reveal who they are. And if their behavior doesn't align with who you are, let them go. This brings us to a critical point. Do we expect too much from people? I think we do. We live in an age where everyone is busy, where relationships feel transactional. You do this for me, I do this for you. And when someone doesn't text back right away, we jump to conclusions. But what if we just gave people grace? What if, instead of assuming the worst, we considered that maybe they're dealing with something we can't see? When you start to embrace the let them mentality, you stop expecting others to behave exactly as you want them to, and instead you accept them for who they are. It's a game changer. And finally, here's what I want you to walk away with. Don't let anyone's opinions steal your peace. Let them think what they want. Let them gossip. Let them judge. Because at the end of the day, the only opinion that matters is yours. When you embrace this, when you truly live by it, you're not just freeing yourself from others, you're freeing yourself from the need for validation. And that's when real freedom begins. Have you ever had someone walk out of your life, and all you can think is, I just don't get it? The truth is, people come and go. They change, they grow, and sometimes they choose different paths. But here's the thing. If someone walks away from you, and you find yourself stuck in pain, wondering where you went wrong. It's time to stop and ask yourself, what's next? If the connection isn't there, it could mean something's out of alignment, either with them or with you. And here's the most important part. You get to decide how you handle it. You get to choose your next steps. But I'm genuinely concerned about how we're all becoming so isolated in today's world. We're spending more time on our phones than truly connecting with one another. And it's easy to forget that people have lives of their own. They're not thinking about us as much as we think they are. Just because we have the time to text someone doesn't mean they do. It's a huge reality check. And what happens when you realize that? You stop making everything about you. You let them be who they are. And in that moment, you realize something huge. Your worth doesn't depend on their response. You'll notice that maybe you're the one who reaches out more, and that's okay. You might get hurt when you realize that when you stop initiating plans, you're not included. But here's what I've learned. It's not about you. We tend to internalize these moments of hurt, thinking we're the problem. But the truth is, adults are allowed to come and go. People are allowed to prioritize different relationships, go through busy phases at work, or even go through periods where they fall out of touch. And the more you accept this, the easier it becomes. Let people live their lives and watch how much better yours gets. You'll become more compassionate, more understanding. You'll stop blaming yourself and start realizing, maybe it's time to reassess the kind of friendships and relationships you're investing in. You're responsible for your own social life. If you're the one constantly making plans and it feels like you're never included, it's time to ask yourself the hard questions. Am I in the right circle? Or do I need to shift my energy elsewhere? And yes, sometimes it's painful when you realize that maybe your siblings or friends live closer, and they don't include you in their gatherings. That stings. But feeling hurt doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means your mind and body are doing exactly what they should be, processing pain and growth. It's a sign that you're human, and it's okay to feel that. So here's what you do when the hurt arises. Let them make their choices. And then you ask yourself, what's my next step? If it's a conversation you need to have it. You get to decide how much you're willing to put into that relationship. But remember, you're the one who chooses what to accept and how to respond. Now, here's where this gets really profound. When it comes to love and heartbreak, the same truth applies. People will choose who they love, how they love, and sometimes they won't choose you. And that's the hardest part of the journey. I remember writing this with my daughter, who was going through a tough breakup, and she brought a fresh perspective, reminding me that sometimes we can't stop people from leaving. But what we can do is let them go without guilt and without trying to fix things that aren't ours to fix. In her case, her breakup was a process, and the more she grieved, the more she started to understand the power of letting go. Not just of the person, but of the patterns that kept her stuck in the past. Heartbreak is like grief. It's like losing someone to death, because you're mourning what you thought was forever. You're mourning the future you imagined. But here's what you need to know. Healing starts when you stop trying to hold on to something that's already gone. That's why we have the 30-day rule. No contact, no photos, no social media stalks. Remove the reminders. It's not just about letting them go. It's about allowing yourself to unlearn the patterns that have been keeping you stuck. Every time you try to check their location or scroll through their photos, you're rewiring your brain to stay connected to something that's no longer there. And that just delays your healing. Trust me, the withdrawal is real. Your body will feel that absence, and that's okay. That's part of the process. But in those 30 days, every single moment of pain is unlearning the old patterns. By the time you reach that 30-day mark, you'll feel less intoxicated by the memories, and you'll start realizing, I'm stronger than I thought. And here's the kicker. At around 11 weeks after a breakup, most people report feeling better. The healing process is real and you'll get through it. But you have to let them leave and then let yourself heal. When you start to get past the old patterns, you start creating new ones. You move forward. In those 30 days, I want you to challenge yourself to make small changes. Maybe rearrange your space, start a new hobby, or just take time for yourself. When the person you loved isn't in your life anymore, don't let their absence define you. Let yourself move on. And here's the most important thing. You are lovable. You are worthy of love, even when you're grieving. You are not unlovable just because someone chose to leave. In fact, the next person who comes into your life will appreciate you in ways you never imagined. You have to let go of the past to be open to the future. So the next time you feel the weight of a breakup, a friendship shift, or any form of loss, remember, let them. Let yourself grieve. And let yourself heal. Healing is a journey, but you have the power to choose how you move through it. Sometimes we hold on to someone for far too long after they've left. Maybe it's been a year or more, and you're still listening to their old voice memos, scrolling through their pictures. Every time you do, it's like you're keeping them alive in your mind, but really all you're doing is keeping yourself trapped in the past. The truth is, when someone walks out of your life, you have to let them leave so you can finally move forward. I know it hurts. It feels like you're stuck in a cycle, waiting for them to come back. But in doing so, you're denying yourself the chance to live the life you deserve. Because that person, as much as you might hope, isn't the same anymore. And neither are you. You've grown. You're evolving. And you deserve a love that reflects that growth. So here's the hardest part. Letting go. And this is where the power is. It's not about making them jealous or trying to win them back. That's a waste of your energy. The true power comes from within. And when you realize that, you can start seeing the future differently. There's a rule I love, the 30-day detox. For 30 days, you cut all ties. No stalking their social media, no going through their old messages. It's hard, but you have to do it. Because the longer you hold on, the more you keep replaying the past, the harder it is to break free. But by day 30, you'll see the light. Your mind will start to rewire itself, and you'll feel lighter, free from the chains that held you back. And here's something that helped me heal. You have to embrace the idea that someone else's happiness or success does not take away from yours. In fact, it can show you what's possible. That person winning, they're paving the way for you to do the same. Life doesn't run out of opportunities. There's no shortage of love, success, or happiness. If anything, the success of others is a signal that you too can reach that same level. It's all in how you see it. It's hard to realize, but other people's success doesn't block your path. If anything, it lights the way. Let them do their thing. Let them achieve what they're meant to. And in doing so, you'll see the path forward for yourself. You're capable of so much more than you've allowed yourself to believe. Letting go isn't just about relationships. It's about friendships too. When you're younger, it feels like you're always surrounded by friends. You're on teams together, in class together, living similar lives. But as you get older, especially in your 20s, things change. People scatter. People grow. And friendship becomes a choice instead of an automatic part of your life. You can't just expect it to happen, you've got to make it happen. And that means letting people come and go. Letting people live their lives without holding on to them. You don't have to be upset when someone's life takes a different turn. Their journey doesn't diminish yours. Take a step back and reflect on this. Are the people in your life still part of the same journey? Or have they drifted away for a reason? Are you still aligned in energy, in timing, and in proximity? Those are the 3 pillars of friendship: timing, energy, and proximity. When one of those pillars fades, it can make the friendship feel distant. But that's okay. It's natural. Let them go, and let yourself take action to create the connections you want. Realize this: the best friendships and relationships come from letting go. When you release what no longer serves you, you make space for what's meant to come next. Title: Letting Go and Creating the Space for Healing. There are times when a friendship fades, and it doesn't feel right anymore. And yet, sometimes letting go is exactly what we need to do. For me, at 56, I've seen a lot of friends come and go over the years. Some I haven't spoken to in ages, and others, things just became off. But here's the thing. I don't wish anyone bad. In fact, I genuinely wish them well. I've learned that people from your past might still consider you a friend, even if you haven't spoken in years. If you reached out to them, chances are they'd pick up the phone and be happy to hear from you. If you're feeling lonely, I promise you, there are probably hundreds of people from your past who still think of you as a friend. The key is to take responsibility for your friendships. You have to go first. You have to be the one to reconnect. Start by reaching out to someone you remember fondly. Just send a text, and you'd be surprised at how many will respond positively. The connection doesn't disappear just because time passed. It's still there. Sometimes, even when things went south with someone, it's okay to say let them go and wish them well. Life has a funny way of bringing people back together when the timing, energy, and proximity align once more. I've been reflecting on how we navigate relationships, both the ones we care about and the ones we need to let go of. When you're growing up, life structure is pretty clear. From the moment you start school at 4 years old until you're 21, you don't have to make major decisions. Your life is laid out for you. You go from one grade to the next, you follow the system. Then you hit 21 or 18, depending on whether you go to college, and suddenly the structure is gone. You're out in the world, and it's terrifying. You have to create your own path, and it's overwhelming. Everything feels uncertain. There's no map. No one prepares you for that moment when the rules of the game completely change. And when it comes to your loved ones, there's nothing more difficult than watching someone you care about struggle, especially when you see their potential. The hardest thing for me was watching my daughter go through heartbreak. You just want to fix it. You want to step in and make it better. But here's the truth. When you do that, you're actually not helping. You're denying them the chance to grow. Letting them go is a way of showing love. It's recognizing their ability to work through their own struggles, even if it's painful for you to watch. There's a concept that's been so impactful for me: supporting versus enabling. When we step in to fix someone's problem, whether it's a relationship, an addiction, or any challenge, we sometimes end up enabling them. We rob them of the ability to find their own strength. Support isn't about rescuing. It's about creating the environment that allows someone to heal on their own terms. It's hard. You might feel frustrated, even helpless. But real growth happens when people are allowed to face their own battles. And yes, sometimes that means watching them hit rock bottom before they rise again. I'm reminded of something I heard from the addiction community that stuck with me. Someone will only get sober when getting drunk becomes harder than facing their pain. The same is true for anything in life, whether it's breaking free from toxic relationships or building healthy habits. People avoid change because it's hard, and they don't always have the tools to do it. But we can be the ones to create a space for them to heal. It's about standing by them without taking over their journey. And when it comes to your kids, especially when you see them struggling, it's natural to want to step in. I had that urge when my daughter was going through her breakup. I wanted to text her ex, talk to his mom, fix things. But I realized that stepping in would only take away her chance to navigate this on her own. The most loving thing you can do is let them. Let them process their emotions, let them feel the pain, and allow them the space to grow. The best way to support someone is by creating the right environment for their healing. It's not about asking them what they need. It's about showing up with a meal, taking the weight off their shoulders, and letting them be who they are in that moment. That's how you create an environment where healing happens. When I went through postpartum depression after having my daughter, I was in a place where I couldn't take care of myself, let alone her. But the people who loved me didn't ask. They just showed up. They did what needed to be done. They created a safe space for me to get better. That's the kind of support we all need, and that's the kind of support we can offer to others.